come and keep it all right up the night.
You heard the man. Get to the hook. That's the title. I am your co-host, Charles Latibeaudiere.
And I'm your co-host, Eric Colley.
Well, this week, the hook is all about a big controversy on Spotify. Big hit band.
Sort of.
That's not really a band. Although, you know what? Maybe in this new era, you have to say that this is a band.
It's a virtual band.
That doesn't make sense. You can't. That's that's a paradox. It's a oxymoron. You can't have a virtual band.
But you can, and there's one that's really big right now. And they're not the first one in history. They're just the new way of doing it.
Yeah. But the controversy is over a song that you've heard, and it's not an awful song.
No, we're talking about.
But it's a very formulaic song.
Well, yeah. Yeah, shame on the songwriter, whatever it was. The band is the Velvet Sundown. They've been getting a lot of headlines lately. The band joined Spotify June 5th, 2025, so a month ago, basically.
But I'm sure that they've been honing their craft for much longer than that.
Lots of touring and social media presence. Nope, none of that. They had never played a live show. They had zero social media footprint. They just came to Spotify with nothing, and within a month now have over 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And how do they do this? Well, the part of how they got so many listeners initially and why this got attention was because they were on playlists on Spotify. They come up on a lot of people's Discover Weekly, like new music. I know my wife was listening to Spotify over the 4th of July, and on her Discover Weekly, this song came up.
And this song was in there.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is not even like anything you listen to. It's just
this
like
is
they're
what
pushing
starts
it.
Conspiracy theories, man.
It does. So the thing about the Velvet Sundown is they don't exist. They are completely AI created. If you look at their photos, they are all very clearly AI generated. The songs are generated. It's got kind of a 70s psychedelic progressive rock vibe. Their big hit that's coming up on 1 million streams already.
You have to say that's a hit.
It's a hit. It's called Dust on the Wind.
Dust on the wind, boots on the ground, smoke in the sky, no peace found.
You hate this so much.
Oh my God, it's
for so many reasons.
Awful.
First of all, the name is a joke to me because if you know classic rock, the band Kansas in the 70s had a huge classic hit called Dust in the Wind. It's a great song.
So you want to make a twist on you?
Dust on the Wind.
Oh, no, ours is Dust on the Wind.
Yeah.
This is like
the
Coming
lyrics,
to America. We're McDowell's. They have the Golden Arches.
That's right.
We have.
And the lyrics are vaguely like Vietnam War protest music, kind of. It sounds like you just fed in a bunch of Creedence Clearwater Revival and Jimi Hendrix lyrics, and this is what the computer spit back out at you.
I mean, that clip we just heard, they literally just took like 3 phrases, like common phrases in songs and literature, and strung them together and made a rhyme at the end of it.
And have made 2 full albums of it that are doing well, and they're pre-saved now. Their new album comes out, I think this week or next week. So there was a lot of controversy at first because people didn't know for a fact this was an AI band. And the photos look very AI.
They look AI.
They sound AI. People were like, this is clearly not real. The band had no presence. Their social media account posted that they were real, and how dare these critics say we're not. Then finally, after about a week of speculation
someone was leaning
that,
into it.
Yeah, a spokesperson for the Velvet Sundown named Andrew Freelon, which is also a pseudonym, don't know who that is, said that everything was made in AI with Suno. It's a program. It's what Timbaland is using for his AI artist, Tata, who's like a K-pop artist, and Timbaland's all about this. So whoever this Andrew person is said to Rolling Stone, it's marketing, it's trolling. Personally, I'm interested in art hoaxes. We live in a world now where things that are fake have sometimes even more impact than things that are real, and that's messed up, but that's the reality that we face now. He's right about that.
Yes, but we don't have to. I mean, I guess this is the debate now. He's right. It is the world we live in now, and
there's no stopping this now.
I agree with people who say, like, look, you can't stop AI. It's coming. It's here, and you got to find a way to get on board. I can get on board with. Yes, it exists. Yes, people are going to make music with it. Yes, they're going to be quote unquote artists and bands, but you don't have to like it.
No, and there are levels to it. If you're an artist, maybe you just want an idea, like people do with ChatGPT when they're writing, just like, what's a good way to do this? You don't have to word for word copy it, but it just gives you an idea.
Right.
Maybe you could take an idea from it and be like, okay, I like this element. I'm going to make my own song. Or you could sample an AI song and make a song out of it, maybe. This, where it's just somebody just putting in, give me a 70s progressive rock song, and 5 minutes later you have a full album. It's weird. And how does it tour? Do they now, because...
Well, they don't tour, obviously.
But with getting 1 million monthly listeners, and it just keeps going up very quickly, say one of these songs really does, say Dust on the Wind really does become a huge, huge hit.
Okay, so...
More than a curiosity. There's a lot of money being generated there. One, the question is, who owns it? Who's making that money? Is it this Andrew Freelon person? Is it
controversy
Suno?
is that some people think it's Spotify.
Is it Spotify? Who's doing this? And also, if people do really like this music and really connect to it for whatever reason, which is weird, do you then hire people to go on the road and play the songs live?
Well, that has happened in the past.
That has happened in the past.
Which sort of gets us to some of our other songs. But I will say, if you're going to do that, I guess if everyone's on board and they know that it was generated by AI and you really do like the song, see, to me, it would have to be more than just playlists. And if it was going to like chart, it would have to be more than social media. Like it would have to get played on the radio somewhere.
Yeah, to last more than a week or two.
If it reaches that level, then all right, and have at it. I guess that's the market will figure this all out, right?
Right. But it is weird that music is such a... People who really love music, I mean, any song can be catchy. You can like whatever song. But there's literally no heart to it. There's no artistic intention. Even a bad song, something that's horrible, someone meant to do something. Like there was an intention there.
Right.
This is just a computer going, well, I've scanned thousands of songs from the 70s about the Vietnam War, and I've chopped it up into generic lyrics, and here you go. I just parted it out.
By definition, art is supposed to be a reflection of human emotion, whatever that emotion is. And this isn't human emotion. I'm sorry. It's like it's devoid of emotion, and that's the part that feels empty to me. No matter how good the beat sounds or whatever melodic hook they put in there, it still didn't come from human emotion.
It's hard to relate to it.
By the way, I just made up that definition of art, but it seems like it would be a good one, right?
You know what? We celebrate music here. You and I have to believe that.
Yes,
but it's like. Yeah, I can hear like the blinker in my car and think, I can tap my toe to the blinker in my car, but that doesn't make it. Sometimes I do.
When you're sitting at a light for a real long time, you're like, actually, you know what, my blinker.
I do sometimes if I'm turning, if I have a song on, which I always have a song on, I will sometimes hit the blinker so that it hits the beat of the song. Yep, I do, and it's really cool when it happens.
That's a real music nerd right there.
I'm such a nerd.
Wow.
But yeah, it's hard to have that human connection to. If for some reason these vague generic AI lyrics connected with you or resonated with you. There's no artist giving you that feeling. It's just a computer.
If you then go, so we'll take the scenario that you just said. Let's say one of these songs totally takes off and someone does want to send out a touring act or just, maybe not a tour, just performances here and there. When you have actual humans playing the instruments on stage, now has it
come back around?
Has it come back around that if you have actual humans playing it, and you're enjoying their performance, yeah, they didn't write the song. They didn't write the music, which that's true of
a lot of
anyway.
And we're going to get to some of those things.
So then is it okay? Then it's...
Do they then want to change it?
A human performance inspired by AI.
Yeah. But what if you're the singer of that real band being this fake band, and you want to start tweaking the lyrics to make it a little bit more human?
Probably a producer who owns the AI song who's like, no, dude. Get out of here. We can get anybody in here.
And this is great for record labels, too, because throughout history, there's always the issue of artists kind of turning against their labels. We've just been through this with Taylor Swift trying to get her masters back. Artists want to own their work. They want to have final say on things.
So you think,
labels don't have to deal with that anymore.
Are you saying a label would be so underhanded, and dubious, and nefarious, and diabolical as to hold this over an actual human artist and say,
no,
listen, do what we say in this contract, otherwise...
No, I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't need to say that. Yeah, if the music business could eliminate musicians, they'd be so happy. A lot of them. Not everybody, but this is...
I got to think, look, at the heart of music labels are, even though they seem inhuman at times, they are run by humans who generally, depending on how high up the ladder you go, actually do have a love and appreciation of music.
You would hope so.
So... it's not just businessmen running it.
No, but they have a lot of the say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But the Velvet Sundown is the new. This is like the vanguard of the new AI, completely non-human music. We have no idea who's behind this. Really, the songwriting credits on the album are just listed as the Velvet Sundown. The production credits.
I like that
the Velvet
band,
Sundown.
I like that when the band like, no, you're not singling us out.
Right.
It's all of us, man.
They stick together. Yeah. So I don't know who typed in the prompts in AI. I don't know who made this. Don't know who's profiting from it.
It's gonna come out at some point.
At some point, that'll come out. But usually, when things like this have happened to music, one, you know up front it's not real. Except for one case that fooled a whole lot of people. So fooled a few million people.
For far longer than it should have.
But a lot of times, it's some of the artists we're going to look at here, where it was clearly not a real band, a real person.
Right.
A lot of them are like cartoon characters, things like that. Some of them had incredible careers. I actually got surprised by some stuff I learned about one of them. I'm not going to include things like the Monkees or Hannah Montana or Daisy Jones and the Six, that show. Stuff that was made for a TV show or a movie where you know it's actors playing this. I mean, the Monkees is a weird exception there because they became a real band.
Yes.
But let's go back to 1958.
Okay.
And this, you think, okay, that's a long, long time ago. This is an act who had a #1 hit in 1958 and was charting as recently as 2008. So a 50-year span of new songs charting by this act.
We're gonna fight.
Okay.
We're gonna
so this is the Chipmunks song by the Chipmunks.
Christmas, Christmas time is near. Time for toys and time for cheer.
That doesn't. You can't not smile when you hear that
It's
song.
happiness.
You're gonna. You're wrong. Here's where we're gonna fight. They don't belong on this list.
Well, the Chipmunks are not
Everybody
real.
was in on it. Everyone knew what the Chipmunks were.
They know, but
they're actual musicians. Someone wrote that music. Someone actually performed the music, and then someone did the voices.
But even that,
there's
there's some subterfuge there. So the guy that was the Chipmunks. So famously when he's calling out Simon, Alvin, and Theodore, and Alvin doesn't respond, he's like, Alvin. That's Dave.
Right.
David Seville.
Mm-hmm.
David Seville's not a real person either. David Seville was Ross Bagdasarian.
Okay. Well,
But it was a whole carefully crafted thing. So Ross Bagdasarian in the 50s hit this genius idea of using technology, the AI of the 50s, where if you slow a song down and sing to the slowed down song and then pitch it back up to what it's supposed to be, it'll speed your voice up.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that for a novelty song called The Witch Doctor. You know, the ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. That song? You don't know that song?
it's vaguely.
Okay, that was
maybe.
also, so that was in 1958, The Witch Doctor by David Seville was a #1 hit.
Okay.
And he followed that up with another song, and it was like, okay.
And everyone thought it was an actual witch doctor, right?
No.
No.
But, so David Seville's like, okay, the novelty of this is wearing off. What if I keep the shtick going, but instead of a witch doctor, I make it cute little animals? And it's Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. Who are the voices of those? Did he do all three of them? I don't know.
I don't know either.
And then also, it doesn't even matter because David Seville, or Ross Bagdasarian, the Chipmunks had a run. They actually, I saw this. In 1959, they won 3 Grammy Awards. The Chipmunks won 3 Grammy Awards. And in total now they've won 5.
The performers of the Chipmunk song won the Grammy.
But it's been different performers because if it had just been that moment, okay, it's Ross Bagdasarian. Then after the Chipmunk mania faded away, in the late 70s, early 80s, they came back with an album called Chipmunk Punk. And then the success of that got them a Saturday morning cartoon. I remember growing up watching that. Loved the Chipmunks in the 80s. They were big again.
Yeah.
Then that kind of cooled off. Then in the 2000s, they come back again with the live action movie with Jason Lee. They spawned 3 sequels to that, one of which was called The Squeakquel. I love that title. The Chipmunks. So overall, over the 50, 60 years now of their career with different voice actors, I don't know who the voice actors of the Chipmunks were in the 80s, who it was in the 2000s, but they have won 5 Grammy Awards, an American Music Award, a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award. They've been nominated for several Emmys, and in 2019 got a star on the Walk of Fame.
Okay,
They're cartoon characters. They don't
get
exist.
it. But everyone knew. Look, I get it if you're a real artist. I don't know why I did quotes on that. If you're a real artist, I get why it would really piss you off that the Chipmunks have 5 Grammys and you don't, and you haven't even been invited to the Grammys, never been nominated. Yeah, I get why that.
I think Elvis only won 1 Grammy for gospel. The Chipmunks got 5.
I get why that would annoy you, but again, I don't think they belong on this list because everyone was in on it from the get-go. Nobody thought there were actual chipmunks in there in the studio.
I'm just saying they were clearly not real human beings. They were cartoon characters, and people didn't care
But
because
they
they
weren't
loved that song. You loved that song.
But they
You were
weren't.
so
I
happy.
do, but they weren't even. They're not cartoon characters. When the song came out, we weren't like, "Wow, how did they get those cartoons?" So like, no, we know what was going on.
Well, what about later? About a decade later.
Okay.
This is a thing I always kind of like to do to be mean to boomers sometimes, because we know boomers. We got one in our office who always tell you we had the best music. Everybody's music sucks but ours. We were the only good generation ever. Blah blah blah. And the '60s is great. Of course, it's incredible.
Yes.
Doesn't mean there's not other incredible stuff. So 1969, great year for music. You got the Beatles, Abbey Road comes out, the Stones, Creedence, the Supremes, Marvin Gaye. The biggest song of 1969, sold millions and millions of copies, spent 4 weeks at #1. Was a bubblegum hit by a comic book character who started a cartoon band. This is the Archies, Sugar Sugar.
Sugar, oh honey, honey, you are my candy girl.
I mean, it's a
Okay.
catchy song.
Now you're getting closer to
Because if you just see the Archies, you don't necessarily know that's Archie from the comic strip in Betty and Veronica. And for younger people, the show Riverdale
right,
of the last 10 years was based on the Archie comics. It's the same characters.
right.
That's the thing about these virtual cartoon fake bands. They don't have to age. You can just dust them off and
Yeah.
recycle them every couple of years.
I think, by the way, that song was #1 when I was born.
No,
What year? What
that was
time of year
69,
was
but
it?
I think yours was. I've looked this up.
My birthday's in September. It's maybe it wasn't #1,
No,
but
I think it was the Stones. I think you had Brown Sugar.
I think it. Yeah.
Or no, not
maybe
Brown
it was.
Sugar. Honky Tonk Women, maybe.
Huh.
I have to look it up. Anyway, yeah, that was a huge, huge hit. The Archies actually had a couple other hits. Jingle Jangle was a top 10 hit for them. And even the person who did the actual voice, because it wasn't Archie, a guy named Andy Kim wrote it, sang the male vocal, went on to have a good career.
Andy Kim
In
also
1974,
sang-
he hit #1 with the song Rock Me Baby.
Right.
Rock Me,
Mhm.
yeah. Or Rock Me Gently. So there's our real people there, but the people on the single cover, we're looking at it right now, it's
It's the
cartoon,
cartoon
characters. It's
characters.
the Archies, and they had the biggest hit of 1969.
It's a jam.
It's a jam. I'm not
It's
saying
still
it's
a
not.
jam.
I'm not saying it's not, but people didn't care that they weren't real. They didn't care who actually sang it.
See, this is so. And I don't know the genesis of this. Did the Archies, the cartoon characters, the comic strip, did they have a band in the comic
in
strip
the-
first, and then that's why someone said, "Hey, let's make an actual song"?
I don't know. I know the
Or did
person
they
behind
then
it
later?
was Don Kirshner, who was behind the Monkees. And I think after going through all the issues with the Monkees wanting to become a real band and
Right.
do their own music, he's like, what if we just get rid of real people altogether? And it's just session musicians recording for cartoon characters. Like, they're not going to fight for the artistic integrity of the Archies.
Hmm.
He didn't have that same issues with them that he did with the Monkees.
Which, and by the way, we have to give honorable mention to Josie and the Pussycats. If
Oh,
we
yeah.
talk about the Archies, because I think Josie and the Pussycats was a spin-off,
It was.
and they had some jams too.
When they did that movie in 2001, Babyface wrote and produced the music for a lot of it.
Hurry, we could be in Egypt or Japan.
Okay, all right. Let's get on to the technically.
I hadn't sung in a while, and I know some people are disappointed by that.
And so you decided to come out of
Sing
singing
Josie-
retirement with Josie and the Pussycats.
Pussycats.
Let's get to technically the first rapper to hit #1 in America. And, I mean, if you're not going to count Debbie Harry from Blondie, the song
Right.
Rapture, which kind of is, it was
Right,
the first
some
rap
people
being,
don't,
but
some
she's not a
people don't,
rapper.
yeah.
Actually, the first rapper to hit #1 was a cartoon cat, MC Scat Cat, thanks to Paula Abdul's 1990 hit Opposites Attract. This was his verse from that song.
MC Cat on the rap, so mic it. Here's a little story and you're sure to like it. Swift and sly, and I'm playing it cool with my homegirl, Paula Abdul.
I love that so much.
Okay. Why you got to diss MC Scat
I'm not
Cat?
dissing. I'm giving him his flowers. He doesn't get credit as the first rapper to have a #1 hit. So,
I didn't realize that's the first.
well, you might as well take it because if it's not him, then it's Vanilla Ice with Ice Ice
Yep,
Baby later
MC
that
Scat
year.
Cat it
MC
is.
Scat Cat. So Paula Abdul, her song Opposites Attract was the 4th #1 hit from her Forever Your Girl album. And to try and keep some interest up that many singles deep into a record, the video was groundbreaking and it still looks really good. It was inspired by Gene Kelly and Jerry the Mouse from Tom and Jerry.
Mhm.
They had a dance sequence together in the movie Anchors Away, which if you've never seen that, look that up on YouTube. That's a really cool thing that, to be from the 1940s,
Yes, that
it
they
looks
were able to-
amazing.
yeah.
So Paula, who was a fan of Gene Kelly, his dancing, decided to imitate the human cartoon
Yeah.
dance duet thing for Opposites Attract. And so there was a cartoon cat in it, and they decided to give him a verse at the beginning. Got a guy named Derek Delight Stevens, that's who the actual rapper was, And he was the voice of MC Scat Cat, and people loved it. It was
Now-
a sensation.
On the original album cut, was the Scat Cat?
The male
Verse on it?
vocals, so the rest of the vocals and the credited artist on the song are called the Wild Pair. So all the male vocals singing about,
Right.
I go to bed early and I party all night. That was on the album. But when they made
That
the
was
video, they decided to have the cat do
And
that
that's
part.
when the verse came in.
And they're like, well, let's give him a little rat at the beginning to introduce the thing. And that was such a hit. I think we dodged a bullet here. Of course, they were like, well, let's make a whole album. So in 1991, The Adventures of MC Scat Cat and the Stray Mob came out.
They made an album?
Whole album, and the lead single, Scat Strut, which sampled Let's Groove by Earth, Wind & Fire, stalled out at number 80, and that was the end of MC Scat Cat's career. So we could have had a
Scat
whole...
Cat's agent was on the phone like, what do you mean you're pulling the plug?
I mean, if he'd been bigger, we could have had a Snoop Dogg Scat Cat beef. It would have been legendary, but I think opposites attract was enough for most people, for the cartoon rapping cat.
So after he only hit number 80, Scat Cat fell on hard times.
That was his
had
ninth
an
live.
addiction problem. He was found in an alley with catnip.
It was an alley cat.
Found in an alley with catnip.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop.
This is like the
Poor
saddest
guy.
behind the music ever.
Yeah.
It's goofy, but I did love that song, and MC Scat Cat was fun. This next
a
one
fun
we're going to do, I hate this, and I'm glad it was not as big in America as it was in Europe. Do you remember 2005, the era of ringtones and Crazy Frog?
I don't.
Oh, God, this was awful.
Crazy.
So Crazy
Okay, this is
Frog,
gonna be interesting.
there's a weird evolution to this. In 1997, this 17-year-old Swedish kid did an impression of a motorcycle engine. Just a he made this sound and posted it.
Mhm.
And it went kind of viral, as much as something could go viral in the late 90s because there wasn't social media yet. And a couple years later, in the early 2000s, a Swedish artist and producer found this sample of this kid doing this, took it and created a early CG animated character he called The Annoying Thing, and that was a very accurate name, and then added music to it. And they did this cover of Axel F., the theme song from Beverly Hills Cop.
Right?
So then a ringtone company finds this, and they thought, oh, this is how we're going to make a lot of money. So they renamed it Crazy Frog. This dumb song hit number 1 in over half a dozen countries in Europe.
What?
Went to number 50 in the U.S. in 2005. I'm sorry if you've never heard this before, and if you have, I'm sorry to put it back in your head. Because it is annoying.
Before you play, is this going to be, like, am I going to be walking around humming this damn thing the rest of the day?
Well, the music is just Axel
'Cause I don't-
F. But, you know, dun,
Okay,
dun, dun,
Axel
dun,
F,
dun. But this is like a Euro techno disco version with this annoying... Okay, here's Crazy
All
Frog.
right, let's just do it.
It's just that over a techno version of Axel F.
Okay, thankfully that is not going to be stuck in my head.
You think it's
I
not.
will forget that.
And then a ring, ding, 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 ding,
If
ding.
it does, I don't care what time it is. I'm calling you. I'm going to wake you up in the middle of the night. And be like,
Like I said, it wasn't that big in America, not as big as it was in Europe, fortunately. But that was people's ringtone. So imagine you're just walking around in Sweden in 2005, and people's phones going off just ring, ding, 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 ding.
listen, when you get down on America, remember this moment.
We didn't make Crazy Frog as big of a thing as Europe did.
We didn't make Crazy Frog a thing. Some things we get right. Listen, nude beaches, we didn't get that right. Europe got that right. But
I don't know if you ever go to a nude beach. I just imagine maybe we did get it
got
right.
that
I don't
right.
know.
But we got ring ding 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 ring thing right.
The annoying thing. Yeah. One of these virtual fake bands actually has had an incredible career, and we do know who's behind it. It is a real person, the Gorillaz, who have had a lot of hits, sold a lot of albums, sold 40 million albums worldwide almost.
And by the way, here's the difference with the Gorillaz.
This is art.
They actually do tour.
They do. They do virtual. They have holograms. They've also played live bands. So Gorillaz is the brainchild of Damon Albarn, the frontman for the 90s Britpop group Blur. And it was inspired in the late 90s by watching MTV and seeing the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and NSYNC and all that. And he's like, pop stars have just become cartoon characters. Like, it's just about image and style, and there's no substance. And then he got on the idea, well, what if I make a band that is literally cartoon characters?
Brilliant.
It was great. This is their song, Clint Eastwood.
I ain't happy, I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long, the future.
There's so many good Gorillaz songs. They have a song called Clint Eastwood and another one called Dirty Harry, which was Clint Eastwood's character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Feel Good Inc., great song.
Yeah.
It was a whole conceptual thing, and this is kind of like to the Velvet Sundown thing about art hoaxes. So originally Damon Albarn just said that he was like a spokesperson for the band, like this other guy was for Velvet Sundown. And the characters were 2D, Murdoch, Noodles, and drummer Russell Hobbs. And they were just cartoon characters, and it was a very specific visual look, a specific sound that was similar to Blur. You can tell that's Damon Albarn's voice, but Gorillaz are a different band. They do sound different.
Yeah.
So he wound up having these two, like, very successful, legendary groups.
Completely different kind of thing, but
so it worked out.
shout out to and
Gorillaz also won a Grammy.
what I love about it, like, at least he was pretty upfront with it.
He was a little wink about it at first. I mean, everybody kind of knew it was him, but he just like, no, this is other people. But he sells it as a concept very different than Blur. It doesn't just feel like a side project. And it is, and this is what we get back to, the human intent. He was making a statement, and there's an artistic intention behind it.
And by the way, that's why the music is good, because there's actual human emotion behind it. He didn't just go, he literally could have just gone, you know what, I want a side project. Let me just go over to this AI generator. And
Actually, that song Clint Eastwood's not a good example, because he showed in an interview one time that he took an old drum machine, and there's like Rock One, like, they have the preset beats, and he pushed it, and it's basically the instrumental track of Clint Eastwood. He's like, I just pushed that, and there it was.
Well, that's the beat, right?
It's kind of the hook too. If you listen to it, it's pretty funny. He was just like, all right.
Oh, all right. Well,
but
then
obviously, Gorillaz have a lot of really good
to,
songs. Yeah, it's because Damon Albarn is an artist. The last one is the only one we have with real people. These were not cartoon characters, but they might as well have been AI.
You want to talk about looking at MTV and going like cartoon characters? They're all cartoon characters. A decade before you got to Backstreet and Britney and all of that, you could have said it started with this.
We've talked about them before. I'm sure we'll talk about them again, because they occupy such a unique space in music history, and it will always be controversial.
Unique because the music, they're jams.
People love those songs. They still do.
Yeah.
And now I think if younger people discover these songs, they don't really know the backstory.
They don't.
Of course.
Do you know how many people have had to explain what is happening? And they're like, what do you mean? Anyway, we're talking about Millie Vanilli.
And people probably don't care now. It's not as big of a thing now as it was in 1989. But of course, Millie Vanilli, the two frontmen, Rob and Fab, we all thought they sang the songs, which was stupid of us, because when you see them in interviews, they have very thick German accents.
Very thick.
Barely spoke English.
Very different voices from...
Didn't sound like that at all in the records. And of course, they didn't sing any of it. There was a handful of singers who did the vocals. They were just the frontmen. They were there to be pretty in the videos and to do the dance moves. And
they did that.
They were flesh and blood digital avatars, really. And this is a girl, you know it's true.
Girl, you know it's true.
Ironic that it's girl, you know it's true, and none of it was true. None of it was true.
There's a little wink, wink.
And people sued after it came out that they had actually not done the vocals. I mean, the album had sold millions and millions of copies at that point. It was a huge album.
How many number ones?
Three number ones. I saw
right?
a stat recently Billboard did, which is interesting. They said that just over 300 artists in music history have scored 5 or more top 10 hits. So Billboard was ranking them by their batting average. Basically, out of the total number of charted songs, what percentage went top 10?
Right.
Of all the acts who have 5 or more top 10s, Millie Vanilli is the only one batting 1,000. They had 5 singles. All 5 made the top 10. Actually, all 5 went top 5. And they never charted again.
And again, because it was actual music created with actual human beings at a microphone.
But AI could have made those songs. If it did, would I care? I'd still like it. I mean, the lyrics are not.
I argue you wouldn't get the same result. As much as we make fun of it now, I don't think AI could create what Millie Vanilli was. I just don't.
AI's got to work to be better than Millie Vanilli.
Yeah.
Blame it on the rain. Come on. Diane Warren wrote that.
Right. Exactly. Again, written by incredible human beings. That's why those songs work. Even after we found out that the images that we were seeing were fake,
the music was still real.
The music was very real, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
So I will defend Millie Vanilli.
I always
firmly,
will.
Along
I think
with
they got
the
a raw deal.
Along with the Chipmunks.
But not Crazy Frog. Screw you, Crazy Frog.
Yes. Yeah.
So at the beginning of the show, we had a new little jingle there.
I noticed that. That was cool.
It's not real.
It's real.
I mean, it's sound that exists. Yes.
It's sound that exists. It is. I'm dying to hear. When you said that you did this, I was like, that is brilliant, and I want to hear all about it.
So
it is our theme that you heard is AI generated.
It is, and it's using the exact same program that makes the Velvet Sundown because the spokesperson says that he used Suno, S-U-N-O.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go to Suno. And it took about 5 minutes to create an account to log in. You just have to put your phone number in, put a little code in, and you can pay for it. I chose not to pay for it.
Right.
And then you just put in a prompt of what you want.
Does that mean they own it?
Yes, actually, because it does say, you have to get the licensing right for public broadcast and stuff. So that's why we're only going to do 10 seconds of it. But it's weird. I
don't know that it deserves anything more than that.
Technically, no, it doesn't. Technically, I made the song, but I don't own it. But then the question is, who does? Because it doesn't tell you that.
Now, if you could have opted to pay for it, do you then?
I guess so.
Does that open the door to you actually owning it then?
I suppose.
How much did it?
I didn't get that far.
Wow.
I wasn't that interested. But I know you love the blues.
Right.
You love a good blues guitar and blues rock. So I literally, it took 5 minutes to create an account and then about 30 seconds to type in blues rock song with the title, get to the hook, and then it went, and a minute later, I got this song.
Get to the hook where the rhythm bites. Keep it coming, keep it all right up the night.
So none of that's
I gotta be
real.
honest, the lyrics aren't awful. What I think is interesting is that you told it to make a blues rock. Did you say guitar or just
I think I said blues rock song.
a blues rock song?
With the title or the
This
phrase get to the
AI generator thinks that blues rock, and some people do confuse it now. That sounded more like kind of bro country to me.
It's very bro country. Well, it gave me two options. And the second one, I should have gotten you a sample of that. It was even more like bro country-ish. I was
Really?
like, no, this is not what I was asking for.
It's
But the more descriptors you put in, the more specific you can make it. I didn't. Again, I spent literally 35 seconds on
you
that.
see how the popularity of Chris Stapleton has confused AI, because Chris Stapleton, I will argue, is a blues artist,
Yeah.
but his genre is country, and so AI sure gathers all that information from the internet and thinks that that's a blues rock song.
Because it's a data dump to the AI. It's not.
Right.
It's not an artist being inspired by Chris Stapleton or taking this element of this and this element of that. It can't do that. It just aggregates blues, rock, and then the search engines will say Chris Stapleton. So it just gives you its weird
So you'd have
bastardized
to
version of that.
you'd have to give a specific, like if you had said a blues rock in the style of Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah,
the title get to the hook.
maybe.
Then you
I'll
might
try
have
that
got
one
it.
next. I'll send it to you. I'll see what we get.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed our theme song.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time you're going to hear it.
It's not coming back.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll just have a different one every week. Different genre.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
That'd be interesting. See, now I'm trying.
Now you're part of the problem.
I'm
You are part of the problem.
I have definitely made us part of the problem. See,
Yeah.
I said us. Let's see.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
rope
in on
me
it,
right
too.
into that.
That is it for Get to the Hook this week. Be careful what you listen to. We'll see you next time.